there, it's Mark Carlson here. So this week's video, the most important question you could ever ask yourself that will absolutely change your life forever. And I'm not joking when I say that. And the question is, I'll give you it straight away. If I was the force of love, or if I was a representation of love right now, what would I do? If I was the ambassador of love right now, who would I be? What would I think? What would my actions be? Now here's the thing, this is what happens when you do that. You see, energy goes where attention is. So wherever you put your attention, energy flows to that, and that reality becomes apparent. Now what I mean by that is, so if I ask the question, who would I be if I was love right now? Then all of my attention goes to that. So my brain then releases the exact chemicals and science within me to make sure that I get to feel and experience myself as if I was love. The brain starts looking for everything about me and starts being everything about me as if I was love. Now when you do that regularly, you completely change your inner world vibration. And remember that the outside world is always reflecting the inside world. So if I'm representing love internally, of course, everything I see in the external world is going to look lovely, right? So because if I've got an inside feeling of love, and that's the other great thing, when you ask that question, you start moving toward that very vibration, right? So if my inner feeling, my inside feeling is a lovely feeling or a feeling of love, then of course I'll see through eyes that are feeling lovely. So life will appear lovely. And when I do that regularly enough, my vibration literally changes to one that is a being that knows itself as love. And of course, a being that knows itself as love experiences a life of love. How could it not? Because the way that you feel determines what life is for you regularly. Now, because most of that's unconscious, that's the process of awakening. That's why we need to awaken, because the majority of the inner world vibration that we have, or the feeling level, is coming from our unconscious. But if you start to direct your attention to what is lovely about yourself, then that becomes apparent. That becomes a real force within you. And the best thing to do to generate that feeling authentically is to say, if I was love right now, what action would I take? What would I think? How would I walk? How would I feel? What would I do? And who could I help? That last question is so important. Who would I help? If I could be a force of love right now, who could I help? Authentically help. So there's no need for any exchange. This is just, who can I help? Because guaranteed, you're the one that will benefit the most. When you help life in some form or fashion, any form of life, when you help any form of life in some form or fashion, you'll feel great. And when you feel great regularly enough, your life is great. How could it not be? If you're feeling great, life is great. It's not dependent on the outside, or him or her, or this or that, or how much of this you have or don't have, or what your status is, or what your skin color is, or what your political ideals are. It doesn't depend on that. And what happens is that you start operating from here. When you do that regularly enough, your center becomes here. And when you look from here, you see that all life is the same. You start to revere life. This is the place that separates us. It has ideals about this, that, or the other. And rather than being righteous about your belief, where it would separate you from other human beings, you stop doing that and you start looking from here and say, okay, I can be right or I can be loving. So let's start being loving. In my environment right now, in the world that I live in, how can I be more loving to it? How can I be more loving to myself? If I was a force of love, I wouldn't be criticizing myself. I wouldn't be down on myself. I wouldn't be having angry thoughts with myself or with someone else in my life. If I was a force of love right now, I would change and raise my vibration to one that would be kind and loving. And especially when you're angry or stuck around something, you ask this question, if I was love right now, how would I deal with this situation? Because this will change your entire life. I mean, absolutely. This is the key component to take you to abundance, and it's free. You don't need any money to do this. It's absolutely free, because when you start being a force of love in the moment you find yourself in, as often as you can, you'll feel great. And when you feel great, everything starts to reflect that. Opportunities start to come. The right people come for your life to help you. Everything starts to get better when you redirect your focus from fearful thoughts, which is what mainstream media keeps giving you. Fearful. Your entire life, the brainwashing that's happening from the TV and the mainstream media is unbelievably apparent right now. You've got to stop watching things that make you afraid, with the greatest respect and following the rules that you know you need to follow, right, in your particular life. But stop watching narratives that are making you afraid, and you change it, and you'll change your entire life regardless of what's going on if you start being a force of love. Who would I be if I was the ambassador of love? If I was the only ambassador of love right now? If I was the ambassador that needed to show itself as love right now, who would I be? What would I think? And most importantly, who would I help? In the way that I can help, who would I help? Right? Because you can help someone. You absolutely can. There's someone worse off than you that you know of, and you can help them. So what would you do? Go ahead and do that. It might be just smiling at someone. It might be clearing up your space. It might be redirecting your thoughts from an angry thought to one that would say, well, if I was love, how would I look at that situation? Have I got the courage to get off my righteousness about what I think is right or wrong in that situation with that person? Have I got the courage to do that? And can I get to love and raise my vibration and let the crap go and get to a place where I recognize that every other human being on this planet is the same as me? This part of me changes that. This part of me is political, and it judges this, that, and the other. This part of me knows that we're all in the same boat here. And our way home is to love each other. Of course it is. We are loving beings at our core. This program that we've been subscribing to since we were born has us believe that we need to be afraid of each other. It continues, right? The program that we're all believing has us believe that we need to be afraid of each other, and we build walls, and we judge each other, and we have fights, and that's what the system that we're enrolled in is telling us. We need to recreate that system, and it starts with you, it starts with me, and it will combine as a force of love when enough of us are doing this work. But the work is to change self to a vibration that is more loving. You see, if my vibration is loving, how do you think my immune system is going to respond to a vibration of love inside of me? If my vibration is all afraid of everything and everyone, how do you think my immune system is going to react to respond to that? Because everything's connected, everything. So what I'm thinking here and where I direct my attention absolutely, unequivocally changes reality. So if I'm looking at love, if I'm directing my attention to love, to healing myself, here's the other thing that happens. You get to heal yourself via looking at who you'd be if you were loved, because you're generating a force of love inside of your system. So that starts to heal things. Of course it does. Because a vibration that is loving will heal anything that's not loving over time. That's why you need to put posters up all over the place. Everywhere that you know you go to every day, when you go to make your coffee, have a poster, have a little sign there. Who would I be if I was love? Next to where you clean your teeth, who would I be if I was love? On your desk, in all of the places you know you go to regularly, in your car, who would I be if I was a force of love? Who would I be as a representation of love? This will radically change your life. Everything will get better, because this question will change your entire emotional system to one that becomes more loving, and everything will reflect that. It's got nothing to do with the outside world. You have complete power over making your life incredibly abundant if you do this. But it's going to take time, because you've been enrolled in that system of fear for eons. We all have. That's why we've got to do this work individually, and we've got to share it with people for free. This is how you're going to make your life better, by directing your focus daily, all the time, whenever you can remember. In this moment, if I was a force of love, what would I do right now? In this moment, How could I be more loving? That's all you need to do. There's no stress either, because you can only do it when you remember. But you need to remind yourself, because you're so programmed to be afraid of life. We all are. To protect ourselves. We're the same race. We've never governed ourselves as one race of humans. We've always governed ourselves separately. Now we need to govern ourselves as one race from a force of love, founded in love. Because when we do that, we'll have a completely different reality. Completely different. Everything will change, but we can't get to that place yet. We have to do the individual work. We have to understand what it means to experience love before we can share love. Right? No point saying, let's drop all the walls of separation and start loving each other when you don't recognize what love is within yourself yet. And that's how you're going to recognize it, by directing your focus to discover it. The question is always, if I was love, who would I be? If I was a force of love, who would I show up as? If I was the ambassador of love right now, how would I show myself? How would I think? And what would I do? And who could I help right now? Which person can I help right now? Because you'll feel great when you do this. You'll feel unbelievably great when you do this. And when you feel great regularly enough, you become a force of love. And when enough of us come together as a collection of love, we become the solution to everything that is life force comes about by our recognition and understanding of ourself as a force of love. It's not political. There's nothing to debate about this. We are one beingness of humans. We are a collective force of humans, and we're conditioned to think that we need to be afraid of each other. That's the reason that's the purpose here, so that we can experience life as separate, because we are eternal beings. The life force that runs through you is life force. It can't die, otherwise it wouldn't be life force. Yes, you'll drop the body, but we come here purposefully to experience ourselves as separate from each other. And every person's place in the whole thing is a purposeful place, so that we have the opportunity to wake up. So to experience separateness, we have to have control and manipulation and everything that keeps us believing that we're separate from each other, to have the illusion of separateness. That's why we're in a physical reality. So things are separate. They feel separate. They literally are separate we're all separate from each other. But that's the setup, that's the illusion. It's purposefully manifested so that we have this opportunity to love, first and foremost, ourselves, to remember ourselves as love. That's who we are. We'll go back to that no matter how long it takes. You'll go back to love. There are guides and angels waiting for you when you leave. If you've been so indoctrinated in the program, you've forgotten that you're loved. So there's a guidance system to take you back. But you will go back to the one force that knows itself as love. But the elephant in the room opportunity that we have as a race of human beings right now is to collectively and consciously love each other. We've never done it. We've never even thought about it. We've never collectively done it. But we need to pull off the mental narrative where we're all living from. We're not living collectively from here. We're living from here. And whatever the story tells us, we believe so wholeheartedly that we see life as that way. But there is another way of living. And we, more than ever, this is the opportunity. There's enough light on the planet right now. We are going to wake up to ourselves as love. We are. It cannot be stopped. No matter what you think the fearful story is telling you, we're going to wake up because there's enough light here right now. That's why these sorts of messages are coming. And we will remember that we are love via that question. Who would I be if I was a force of love? Because when we do this, we'll see each other as loving beings, because you'll manifest yourself as love and you'll see the most magnificent you. Everything that's great about you will come forward, and everything that's great that you need to receive abundantly will show up in your life when you see yourself as love. That's how easy it is. So your daily work is to see yourself as love. Everything will get better. It can't not, because you're literally generating a loving force. And then we come come together, and we come together as a force of love. We drop the fearful narrative and we come together as a force of love, and the light that is here will absolutely envelop the entire planet. Regardless of what's happening, it cannot stop, because this force of love is now upon us. It's here. That's why everything's shaking up, because the system that we've been used to is breaking down, and it's being shown to us. That system, the light is showing the system. Now, every person on the planet is necessary for us to wake up to ourselves as love. You see, if we came here to individually wake up to ourselves as love and collectively wake up to ourselves as love, we couldn't be in a situation where we already knew ourselves as love, right? We couldn't. So the system as it is necessary in its division to give us the opportunity to wake up as love. But the politics is all part of the system that keeps us separate. Of course it does. For politics to exist, there's always an opposition. And that opposition starts in the mind, but then it's collectively played out in politics. And it's manipulated, and there's control. In separation, there's evil and there's light. It has to play that part. It has to play that way for us to recognize ourselves, to give us an opportunity to recognize ourselves as the one loving consciousness that we are. So we're all here purposefully playing the parts that we're playing. We are. And you've got to recognize that to get off the politics, because in the political place up here, you're righteous about what you think things mean. There's a righteousness because it goes with your value and what you've been taught life is. But at this level, at the heart level, you are love. You are love. You came from love and you'll go back to love. And now, at this point in time, is the time to wake up to that. The light is already here. It's just showing stuff. That's why there's a massive shift in consciousness going on at the moment. A massive shift. But you cannot stop the light now, because the light looks at the dark and turns it into light, right? Just similarly, when you put a light on a dark area, the dark can't fight the light. It's immediately turned into the light. And that's what's happening now. There's no fight from the light's point of view. The light says, let us love each other. Let us realize ourselves as a force of love. Finally, that's who we are. Let's have that unbelievably incredible experience of collectively coming back together as a force of love, right? Doesn't cost you any money to do this. It's totally free. You don't need a particular status. You don't need to feel good about yourself right now. You don't need to have money in the bank. You don't need to look a particular way. Your skin color doesn't need to be a particular way. Your politics doesn't need to be decided in a particular way, nor does your religion. You can do this because you're a human being. And when you do it, every single area of your life will start to get better. It can't not, because we are vibrational beings. And when you direct your attention to the force of love within you, that loving force has no other option other than to increase its life force within you, to increase its realness, let's put it that way, within you. As you direct that question, it will become apparent within you. It will actualize itself. And the more people you help, lovingly, caringly, authentically, the more you get to experience a loving vibration inside of you. And the more that loving vibration inside of you then heals all the things that need to be healed inside of you. And you become a force of love, and life gets better, and you're able to enjoy yourself. Because all the pressures of life will subside. Everything will keep reflecting your force of love. You don't need to worry about things, because everything will start getting better. You have absolute power over this. It's not outside of you. But if you follow the narrative, if you follow the fearful narrative that we've been following for eons about this, that, and the other, right? Look at what was shown on the news all the time. Everything's frightening. Everything. There's anger and war and separation and fearful images continuously. We put children in front of video games of killing each other now. You know, we're programming the kids at a much earlier age, because we've got these portable devices now to program them with. right? And then we wonder why kids go into schools and, there's a massive brainwashing going on, really. But look, no fault. I'm not coming from a judgmental place. It's the system that we subscribed into before we came here, purposefully to have the opportunity to experience separation and also to experience beginnings and endings, to see the experience, to understand the process of manifestation, right? Because in a slowed down reality like this, we get to see the thought and then all the actions that need to be taken to manifest something from a thought form to an absolute complete manifestation. We see that from the first breath to the last breath. We get to experience the beginning and the end. That's not who we are. That's why we come to a separate reality like this to get to experience what a finite reality is like. The soul likes to experience it, and we come time and time and time again in different bodysuits and different personality types, all of us, because it's an unbelievable experience to experience separation. But that's not who you are. You are eternal love. You're an intelligent life force that is connected to everything. You'll always have this remembrance of this individual aspect of you while still being connected to everything everywhere. Even if the planet were to annihilate itself and kill itself via extreme evil, in the moment where it completely annihilated itself, if there was a lot of people that died at the same time, that would be an enlightenment, but it would be called an unconscious enlightenment, because everyone goes back to their source unconsciously, because we're all killed each other. But there's another way, and that's the conscious enlightenment. That's where we all realize ourselves as love, and we start helping each other, and we work towards sharing love, and then we consciously collect the entire race of humans, and we consciously wake up together, and the planet shifts to a fourth dimensional reality where we are operating via love and kindness. That absolutely exists, and that is where we're heading to now. That is consciously where we're heading to. That's why there's such a shift in consciousness at this time, because the light is with us, and we're going back to love, and we're going to do it consciously. Right? And just to finish, I want to tell you one more time, the question to keep asking is, if I was a force of love right now, who would I be? If I was an ambassador of love right now, what would I do? How could I show that love to people? And who can I help as an ambassador of love? This is the best question you'll ever ask yourself, because it'll make your life absolutely, unbelievably, transformatively better in every area. And if you keep doing it every day, especially when you're pissed off, especially when you're angry or upset about something, if I was a force of love right now, what would I do, and who would I be, and how would I show up, and who could I help? That is the most life-changing question you'll ever ask, and it's one you need to keep asking every day, because everything will get better in your life, and everything around you in the people's lives you know will get better in their relationship with you. Have an absolutely fantastic day today when you watch this. I look forward to talking to you again next time. Thank you.